Madison, 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 Madison. Oh, yes, Liddy. Okay, so we just ran a test, right? To make sure we are all set. To make sure we are all set for Miss Madison Frazier, right? So set up professional audio. We did that already. So right now we're just waiting for Madison. Now she's a luxury agent outside New Jersey, right? So I had to make sure the setup was right. I had to make sure the setup was right. I got to make sure that I'm looking smooth. So I got the camera. You feel me? I got the everything right now. You feel me? I'm feeling great. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling motivated. I'm feeling good. Let's go. What? Oh man, this is amazing. This is amazing. Hold on, where'd it go? Oh, whew. I'm like, my fault, y'all. I put it on full screen, not almost panic. Oh, hold on. Where's she at? Where is she at? Oh my gosh. Hold on. I'm getting a little nervous. Hold on. Don't cut the camera on yet. I'm about to faint. Hold on. Look, I gotta get some air. I gotta get some air. You feel me? Don't do it to me yet. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Hold on.
No way. Christian, get off my head. How you doing? Happy New Year. You looking sharp.
I told you I had to look my very, very best. I couldn't play. So I made sure I got the haircut, the braids. I got a fresh shirt. I made sure the suit was pressed. I could not play no games.
You look absolutely sharp.
Had
How
to,
you
had to
doing today?
had to look my absolute best for the queen, Miss Madison. How are you? Happy New Year to you as well.
I'm wonderful. I am wonderful. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you for being a part of it. It's more than a pleasure. I want you to know that, right? Been
Pleasure's all mine.
by the grace of God, we were able to come together, right? And text and say, you know what? Now go on Facebook and you got this super team. And I'm like, look at her. Then you got everything in like the Tiffany bluish turquoise and the giveaway. And I'm like, oh nah, she doing a lot. What's up? Go on to Instagram and I see it, man. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Oh,
Definitely.
thank you so very much.
Now I think you is it's
Thank you.
inspirational, very inspirational. Miss Madison Realty. How's the new year treating you so far?
So far, so good. We're definitely trying to just sort of strategize this year and reference how we're definitely going to meet our goals. 2020 was amazing. We had like that great influx of buyers, but they sort of winged off. I think they were getting exhausted and tired. So now they're back and ready to go.
Ready to go.
They're ready to go.
That's great. That's great. You know,
How's their
2021.
2021?
You ready for 2021 though?
I am. How about you?
Mm, I don't know. Like I'm I don't know. I feel like I'm actually super excited for 2021 to be honest with you. Like supremely excited for it. 2020
Mhm.
was possibly one of my best years in real estate.
Awesome.
you
Awesome.
know,
Awesome.
a lot of closings, a lot of things happen and things like that that I'm supremely proud of as far as real estate and things like that go. So I'm really proud of it. It made me change my whole mindset, my whole dynamic. 2020 happened and you had to be innovative. It was the year of the innovative, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
The antiquated
Absolutely.
agents kind of got pushed out. You got to get with the times. You
It
gotta you
is
gotta you gotta
very,
build a
very
presence and everything like that everywhere, internet everywhere. So how have
absolutely.
you adapted?
Well, um my BA is in marketing, so we've pretty
Mm,
much grown a lot of our business from social media. So when the pandemic actually hit, it wasn't really different. We've been viral, so it was actually sort of a blessing to be like ahead of the curve.
mm-hmm. That's dope.
But
That's
just
dope. So you,
a lot of agents that who were antiquated, like, okay, so how do I work the camera? Yikes. And of course, in the beginning, a lot of the buyers were, nervous, as we all were. So, but I think by June, they were ready to get back out there. How was your market?
um, it's funny because New York City, the five boroughs, and I'm mainly in Brooklyn, right? So
Hmm.
Brooklyn has actually been great. Four out of the five boroughs have been amazing, honestly. Brooklyn, the Bronx, Staten, and Queens. However, Manhattan has been hit so bad due to COVID that once you average it, the numbers plummet. So as a whole, you will look at the numbers and be like, oh my God, New York City is doing terrible. But on the contrary, New York City is doing great. It's just Manhattan was doing terrible.
Yes, I definitely heard not so many great things about Manhattan. So it's so good to hear that it was, just one of the five boroughs.
Yeah, Manhattan
Five boroughs.
prices got slashed crazy. People's $1 million condos were now worth 600,000, 650, and things like that. And I just had $1 million condo on Monday. You're gonna tell me on Wednesday it's worth this? No. So a lot of people moved out. But again, those people that can afford those multi-million-dollar condos can leave and buy something else and still have this here in Manhattan. So a lot of business wasn't really being done in Manhattan. So the prices just whoop, 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 whoop. But everywhere else,
Mm,
great. A lot of people were leaving Manhattan to actually get into Brooklyn as well.
nice.
Hmm.
That sounds really
Definitely.
good.
What about out there in Jersey?
What do you mean? What
Like how,
exactly?
like how was the market out there in Jersey?
Oh my goodness. I was looking at the stats last night, and predominantly most of my business is in Essex County, although we do service Hudson, Bergen, Middlesex. Essex County, I was very, very surprised last night that we came in number one with an
Wow.
increase of 25% in sales. I couldn't believe it. I'm assuming realistically, now this was just single family homes. Now I didn't do the multi families, but I am assuming because a lot of the New Yorkers are migrating here.
Mhm.
Essex County is sort of, it's just like in half an hour, maybe 35 minutes from the city.
Mhm.
All of those other counties, they're 45 minutes or maybe an hour, and that's too far to commute for the New Yorker. So Essex County did very well. I was very, very pleasantly surprised.
That's dope. I didn't even think. I know a lot of people. Do you think that's actually due to COVID, or just in general? Because I know a lot of people would they want to get their money in New York and live in Jersey or Connecticut because it's a cheaper living, you know? So did you see an uptick because of COVID?
I'm thinking, I'm going to say yes and no, because right before COVID, a lot of the New Yorkers were coming over. Um, Born in Newark, but I'm raised in East Orange. So I saw a lot of New Yorkers migrating to East Orange in the presidential section, which is very similar to Maplewood in a sense, sort of a sense, right? So
Mhm.
now we have, instead of going directly to Maplewood, where the average single family may cost 450, they're making a quick pick stop in East Orange where they're between 375, 400, and that is totally impressive because just 2 years ago we were at 250.
Wow.
So that's a whole $200,000, nice piece of equity if you have purchased in 2018.
Hmm.
So East Orange market has really, really come up, as well as some other towns, but that one was personal. East Orange is personal.
Oh man. All right. So question. I wrote down some questions I would love your perspective on, right? So
Sure.
me getting into real estate, I prepared myself through YouTube videos and things like that, possibly like most people, right? And I saw tons of videos of cold calling. Now there's tons of
Hmm.
ways to lead generate. What's your favorite ways to lead generate?
I'm so glad that you asked that question because I don't like to cold call. I do not. I like to. I would rather knock on your door and say, "Hi, my name is, Madison Realty of Christie's. I see your house expired. Are you considering putting it back on the market?"
Yeah.
But due to COVID, I was actually just thinking about this last night. I do need another way to get to that seller because no one, I don't think will appreciate me knocking on their door under COVID.
Hmm.
Cold calling, that's exactly what it is. It's cold and people will, they will hang up on you. You know, but again, I just actually renewed my Red account because I need to actually get to, those people who I can't knock on their door.
Hmm.
So that is actually my challenge this year would be to do more cold calling. That
Red
is at the top of my goal.
RedX is actually great because they give you a script when you're cold
Mm-hmm.
calling. I started with RedX. I don't use RedX now, but I started with RedX.
Mm-hmm.
They give you the script and then you can just call. If you wanted, you can use the single dialer or the triple line dialer and things like that. But what do you have like a fear of cold calling? Is that like what's holding you back
No,
from it?
I don't think it's a fear of cold calling. I just think it's not personal
Mm.
enough. Again, I'm used to door knocking, cold calling. Just like I said, it is cold, and um, 9 out of 10 times, no one will close the door on your face, right? They will just, they'll sit there and listen to your 1 minute speech, but they will definitely hang up on you if you call them. So you have to get over the fear of rejection, and
Rejection.
maybe you have to love on them a little bit more. You can't just give them some Tom Ferry script because everyone has called them today with the Tom Ferry
With the Tom
script. So
Ferry
you have
script.
to pick a different angle. Ask them how they doing today. You
Hmm.
know. How about you? Do you cold call?
I actually, that's my number one way of lead generating. My number
Really?
one way of lead generating. I cold call at minimum 100 a week.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's just the phone numbers down, and I don't talk to 100 people a week. So I call in 100 numbers a week. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I have a goal of it's like a conversion chart. So it's 100 cold calls, 20 conversations. Out of those 20 conversations, I need 15 listing appointments, 15 listing appointments, 10 listings. And I'll put to myself every one of those goals every week, so it helps my numbers go up. Now,
You have
that's a lot of rejection.
definitely. That's amazing. That's being that was actually one of my goals this year. So you have definitely gave me some more courage.
Mhm,
I'm glad you said 100 calls a week because as I was, think I said, they say make 100 calls a day, and I'm like, oh, that is a lot. So when you simplify it to 100 calls a week, it takes the pressure. It's
mhm,
just an hour of power, right?
right.
About 25 calls a day, and I guess you're circling back on Friday. So I'm definitely going to take that advice. Thank you, Christian. Thank you.
No problem. It's actually not bad. Like still to this day, I get nervous. The first call is always the hardest one to make. It's like, am I gonna get cursed out now? Am I gonna get hung up on now? Like, what's about to happen? And there are days where it's like I'll get nothing but a-holes. There are days.
Mm,
On the flip side, there are days where I get a lot of great feedback, and you'll get the listing appointments because I never try to close on over the phone.
right.
That's like one of the worst things to do. You got to make it personable. And Maddie, what's funny is that you said everybody's calling with the Tom Ferry script, right?
Right.
So I remember one time I was using RedX, and this is actually my first listing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was on RedX, and I called the FISBO,
Mm-hmm.
and I used it's a guy named Brandon something, Brandon M. I can't pronounce his last name, and I used his FISBO script because
Mm-hmm.
he just specializes on FISBOs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I call him and I'm using the script, and he's like, somebody called me saying those exact words or whatever. So
Ooh.
I'm like, Anyway, let me continue with the script because he's probably just trying to throw me off, right? So then I
Mm-hmm.
continue with the script, and he starts like saying some of the words that I'm saying. He's like,
No
Christian, are you reading from
way.
a script? And I'm like,
Oh
of course
no.
not. I'm not reading from a script. So he's like, so I continue. He starts saying some of the words, and I'm like, and I just throw it off. I'm like, you know what it probably is? Great minds think alike. Like I don't know what it is. So but Badu just had to jump up on it. Great minds think alike. And then I had to make it personable over the phone. And it took me maybe 2-3 months to get the listening, but I got it. But that happened. I
Matters.
said, I gotta like make my own script, something that fits me and things like that. Because people are using the same thing verbatim. Verbatim. So, you know.
It's true. I totally agree. You have to really cater to you not cater to you, but you have to pretty much make the script your own.
hmm the best thing you could do is get a listing or a conversation being yourself. Like if I gotta talk to somebody being somebody else, that's like it's stressful, Madison. Like it's like every time I talk to
Mm.
you, I gotta be that persona. I gotta be that person. I gotta remember how to act that way every time I talk to you, every time I see you, every time we interact. And it's just like I'd rather just be me. If you don't like me, on to the next. Somebody will.
I totally agree. I which is why I don't ask buyers to sign like buyer agreements.
Mm-hmm.
I want to work with those that would love to work with me and vice versa. I don't want to hold you to the threshold of a contract.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Oh man, it's so great that you said that. One of the last listenings, and it kind of like went awry. It was a big, big, big blow up, right? But the buyer wanted a house that I had listed, and it fell out of contract for whatever reason. But the buyer's agent, like was really, really nice. Like we clicked, but she didn't have him sign a buyer's agreement. So he ended up starting to call me, directly. And I know a lot of agents would just be like, oh, well, doubling the commission and so on and so forth. I was just like, no. So I just called the other agent and said, hey, listen, this is what's happening with your buyer. They're calling me to try to work with me. I don't want to do that to you. You're a good person. Just call your buyer and let them know what's going on. But she's been working with them for about a year and a half. Mm-hmm.
I am so glad that that you said that, because at the end of the day, the buyers as well as the sellers, they come and they go. But it's the circle of realtors that we are always going to, come interplay
Mm-hmm.
with one another at some time
At some point in
or
time.
another. And you definitely don't want to be that realtor who is blacklisted, for I wouldn't say, you don't want to be ostracized for something that could have been, worked
It's a
out
couple,
between you
it's a
and the
couple
buyer's
thousand
agent.
dollars. It's like, come on.
Right. Right. Absolutely. I
Some things aren't worth
totally
it.
agree.
Some things aren't worth it, especially if you're working, like if you're worried about your brand. Your brand is everything. So you don't want the brand of I can't work with Christian because of such and such and such, or he's always late or whatever. Like you gotta put your brand first. Your reputation is everything, especially in this business. That's
As
crazy.
I can't agree with you enough, because it happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, buyers they're anxious, and sometimes they're novice, whereas you cannot call the listing agent. But I guess that's just a part of the business. We have to take the time out and explain, to the consumer how this actually works.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some of
Yeah.
them be no,
No, a lot of them be knowing. A lot of them,
maybe no.
they be knowing. They be like, I know what I'm not supposed to do that, but let me see what I could do. Let me just try to get around and things like that. That's crazy. Now, you mentioned door knocking, right? Which
Hmm.
is a fear of a lot and is very time consuming, right?
It is.
It's
Oh my
very
God. Yes,
time
it really
consuming.
is.
Even if people don't answer the doors, you know.
It is. It truly is. But one time I was door knocking, someone was talking to me like through the ring. Like, well, could you open the door? You see me out here talking through me through the ring. And they said they weren't home, but the driveway looked pretty full to me.
Hmm.
But those, I think, the agents that have came into the market in 2020, they will probably really never understand door knocking, as a result of COVID.
Hmm.
But um, yeah, that was quite interesting.
So what's your favorite type of prospects to door knock then? Is it FISBOs? Is it expired? Is it like you just circle prospect? Like what is it?
I prefer expireds for the reason they have already been on the market. They have already experienced working with a realtor, whether they house sold or not. But you have sort of like a 50-50 chance of they might place the house back on the market. For sale by owners, I mean, maybe had not so many, because they really do believe that they do not need a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to beat you in the head why you should work with me.
Mm-hmm.
Many other times when you're working with FISBOs, I think they sort of become, I would say, impressed on how many people are really trying to list their home. So they get all this, I would say, phony confirmation of they can do it. And
Mm-hmm.
here it is 6 and 7 months later, and the houses, are not sold. But it's definitely a lot with the FISBOs. And then, even what I do ask them, are you willing to cooperate? They don't even want to offer a solid commission if I bring you a buyer. So that's normally how I like to, gauge them first. So
Mhm.
you're not offering a conservative commission if I bring you a buyer. I know you're gonna really kill me if I represent you.
Mhm.
So, but again, that is one of that's I can't say that's for all for sale by owner. So that's why I said this year I need to really do some uncomfortable activity to get the activity and the numbers that I want to
That you
see.
want. With fishbowls, is they were a headache because again, it's like everybody wants to be a real estate agent, but don't they see $1 million listing and they think that's all it is. I'm gonna do an open house and that's it. And then you also get a lot of realtors that'll cold call them and tell them I have a buyer, knowing that they don't, right? So now
People
and
still do
then yeah,
that?
they do that. Yeah, because the first thing that they'll say is, "Do you have a buyer? Bring a buyer." That's the first thing Fizbo say when you cold call them. If you bring a buyer, if you have a buyer, I'll pay you 2%. That's always going to be the objection, right? So a lot of agents that say, I have a buyer, even though they didn't see the property, they didn't see the pictures, the picture, and we
Mhm.
know pictures, it's the angles and things like that. You got to really see the property. So Fishbowls hear that enough times and say, why do I need to list it with anybody if they're just going to bring me buyers? You know,
Exactly.
oh my,
I didn't think people still said like I have a buyer because at the end of the day, it's about building trust, right? So if I
you
told
start
you
off
I
lying
had
to
a
them.
buyer and I don't have a buyer,
Mhm.
now I look twice as bad as I did 2 seconds ago. Just be
Madison, I've
honest. I
seen
want to have.
I've seen agents bring other agents to pretend as if they're the buyer. I've seen that. Yeah.
They both know you're wrong. Oh,
Oh my gosh. It's just like, what is going on here? Like,
no way.
mhm.
That's a new one for me. That is a which ones do you prefer, expired or fizzles?
It's kind of like a mix of both.
Hmm.
Expires, you don't really have to do too much pitching to, right? Because they know why you're there.
Hmm.
You don't really have to try to build a relationship as long as a FISBO takes. A FISBO, you got to keep checking in and checking in and checking in. It expired. As soon as if you get the meeting, they know why you're there. It's really about you building a relationship there. If you can work with them, if they can work with you, and agreeing on a commission. Now, the thing that I do dislike about expireds are the discount agent that they dealt with before me.
Oh yes. Whew.
Because I tell them
Oh
off rip,
yes.
6%, I might go down to 5, you know.
Hmm.
But when they dealt with an agent that was doing 3% or 4%, and it's just like, then they don't understand, every agent works differently. So they're thinking, well, if my last agent did it for 3%, why can't you? And it's like, you know why your house didn't sell?
Yeah. We said the same thing. That's why your house didn't sell. I mean, because
They couldn't
realistically,
afford to
like
do
they
anything.
right, they have to also understand too, if they are offering only 3%, no one's let alone like 2% was just like the drag
Mm-hmm.
of 2020. No one wants to work for 2%. We
Mm-hmm.
all know it's more work on the buy side, right? So
Mm-hmm.
at 1.5%, the house under contract. The
Mm-hmm.
house is under contract. And I've even even when I see those low ball you know, listings, I ask the agent, like, look, listen, I have a buyer. Are you willing to renegotiate this commission?
This commission. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yes, 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 I have, because it's definitely more work. on the buy
Yeah.
side.
It's crazy. So do you prefer sellers or buyers?
I prefer both. I
Yeah.
think that your business should have a mixture of both. Hopefully, we can have the listing and one of my teammates can procure the buyer.
Hmm.
So I've seen a lot of teams do that last year. Like it didn't even hit the market because their office, had sold it in 2 hours.
That's
So
mhm.
I think both. But for any new agent, because just like you said, a lot of people are gaining their information from YouTube. Just know when you're a first year agent, you may spend the bulk of your time with buyers,
The
and
buyer.
then once you become confident, then you'll then go on to listings and so forth.
I personally prefer the sell side. Um, it's more expensive. It's more
Yes.
expensive because of the marketing, the pictures, especially. And again, like I hire a professional photographer. I don't do it with my phone. Like I see people doing it with, or they'll try to do it with their own camera, and then it looks
In
great.
the picture.
Yeah, like
In the picture.
so I
Have
seen
you seen
thumbs, I seen people in pictures.
in car windows? Like they took the picture from the car window.
That's I've never seen that. That's crazy.
I'm going to send you one of those when I see it the next time.
That's
Or them,
funny.
just like you said, when they take a picture and they're in the picture, like, did you not think if you took a picture of that mirror that you weren't going
You
to be
weren't
in the
gonna be
picture?
in there. They thought they was like a vampire, like they had no reflection. Like I saw, like it's more expensive, but
Mhm.
you have way more control of your time.
Absolutely. And which is definitely why I added another buyer's agent to my team so I can just have more time to focus on lead generation
Mhm.
and mainly, sellers because the buyers will come.
Mhm. If you have the listing, the buyers are gonna come.
The buyers will come. So
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to revving up my lead generation and on that phone.
Yeah, just yeah. This is listen one, and this is crazy because it's one of my questions too, right? You were blessed to have such a luxurious name. Like Madison Frazier just sounds like you're already a trillionaire, right?
Claim it.
You feel me? Like it just rolls off the tongue, and then the image and everything is just like, yes, you feel me? So even like off in the branding that you're doing, like it really shouldn't be hard for you to lead generate or cold call and things like that. Like the reception you'll get and the energy that you put out is not going to, I don't see it being difficult for you. You're going to have some people that are going to be a little difficult. It happens because you never know what's going on the other side of the phone, you know.
Right.
So, one thing that helped me, have you ever seen the movie, Sorry to Bother You?
No.
All right.
I've never heard of it. Is it a 90s movie?
No, no, no. It came out a few years ago. Um,
Okay.
I can't remember the main character's name, but Danny Glover's in there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's a weird movie. I'm gonna tell you that now. Like you're gonna be like, wait, where is this movie going? Like it has so many messages, but it just like it's hard. It's a hard movie to follow, right? But it starts off about somebody cold calling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing he says, he picks up the phone, sorry to bother you, sorry to bother you, sorry to bother you. And it's not working. And then Danny Glover's watching them, and I think he tells him, like, use your white people voice, right? Because you don't know what's going on the other side of the phone. So he's calling in, you know, somebody's, family member just died, or he cold calls somebody and then they're having sex, or he's cold calling somebody. Like you just never know what's going on the other side. So when you call somebody and you start off with sorry to bother you, it's kind of like, yeah, you are bothering me.
Right.
You know, so I suggest like you watch that. It's entertaining. It's just a weird movie. You know.
I'm definitely going to watch it. The reason why I asked you, was it a 90s movie? Because it sounds like a 90s movie. Like there hasn't been any really good movies, you know. So that
I
just
don't think it
sounded
was
like
box
a
office. I don't think it was like a box office, like it hit the theaters or something like that. It's like an underground movie, but it's
even better,
huh?
even better,
Yeah. So
even
now,
better.
what made you build a team?
What made me build a team? My second. This is I'm going into my fourth year at the end of July,
Oh.
so I've learned that as the business was coming to me in my second full time year, I couldn't manage everyone properly. Because at the end of the day, you can have a booming business, but if you're running it, I wouldn't say it was becoming too busy. So I knew I needed someone to help me so I can service everyone properly. And I tell people all the time, there's no difference between us as realtors. We can all see the same thing, but what it comes down to is the service. You know, so I knew I wasn't offering, well, not that I wasn't offering the right service, but I knew I could be better if I had extra hands.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I actually, built the team.
Did you did you or do you have like an assistant?
So I do not have an assistant, right? I did actually hire an intern who's going to start this Thursday.
Oh.
I don't think I need an assistant right now. What I do need is I need a virtual assistant. So the
Okay.
virtual assistant can make these phone calls. That would pretty much be
An ISA, you want an internal sales agent, somebody to make the cold calls for you.
right.
Hmm.
Right. And I'm not really too big on paperwork. I'm
Hate
just
it.
not, but we hate it. We love to say we want to make an offer, right? But I do not like to do the paperwork. But I also need to keep track of my numbers. So I don't think I would want someone that close to my money. So as far as as far as the paperwork, I mean, not that we get in the bag like that, but I'm just saying, like those type of things are sort of personal to me. Even when I write contracts, I don't put the commission on there. I put according to the listing because if you're not paying me, you don't need to know what I'm netting at the end of the sale. I've experienced that one time when we were about to close and the buyer asked me for closing money. And I said, much as I would love to, this is my this is my living. This is how I make a living. I cannot pay a portion of your closing costs.
Hmm.
So at that moment, I decided not to ever put my
In the contract.
commission. Oh no. Do you have an assistant?
I had one.
Mm-hmm.
I had
What happened? What
no,
happened?
nothing crazy, nothing crazy. She found another job, right? She found another job, so it was nothing crazy. But it was a good experience and it did help tremendously. Like
Mm-hmm.
it helped me get organized, way more organized than I was. And I thought I was like the most organized. But it helped me get
Mm-hmm.
way more organized. She like filtered out my CRM and things like that. I use Lion Desk. Um, followed up with the calls for me and things like that. Like I remember like I have follow-up Mondays, right? So follow up Mondays, have a system, an 8x8, then a 33 touch campaign. And then let's say next Monday, I have to write 30 thank you cards. She's writing them. and then 15 letters got to go out. She's doing that. All I got to do is really pick up the phone and so on and so forth. Now, if it's a follow-up call, she can do it as long as she doesn't talk numbers. So it was
Right.
things like that freed me up. And because of that, I remember one weekend, I got 4 listings in one weekend, Saturday and Sunday, just boom, boom,
Wow.
boom, sent them all, 6%, all of them. And I was like, yes. And I was free to do it. I was free to do it.
Right.
It's expensive, but
I'm sure.
the ROI is good. It depends on what you want your ROI to be, whether it's money or time. Whichever one of the two is more important, then that's what you get back. Most
I
definitely.
think I'll maybe work on it maybe next year. I think by next year, I may need an assistant.
You
We'll
know,
see.
I was watching, I think it was like a Tom Ferry um YouTube video. Then I was listening
Mhm.
to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and they both said the same quote, which made me get my assistant. They said, if you don't have an assistant, you are an assistant.
Yep.
And I was like, that's because I hate the deal sheets. I hate the contracts. I like I hate putting a listing in a system. I hate the launch, like being
Yes.
there for the pictures. Like it's a lot. And then you got to go from one place to the other, putting signs up and printing out show sheets and things like that. It's just like you take care of all of that. I'll cold call. I'll do the pitch. I'll get the listing. You put the listing in the system, so on and so forth. You handle all of that. And that was like, I felt great.
It's true.
Hmm.
It's true. And also too, when I used to actually work with Caldwell Banker with Jackie, we actually um like the admins would put on our listings. So that freed up, a lot of the time.
Hmm.
So, because
I'm
we got
telling
to
you,
think
just
about
try it
that.
out. Like if you could like carve out a portion and just tell them like, listen, we're gonna try this out for 2 months or 3 months because you got to give it time to work.
Right.
Just you're gonna be so happy you did it. So happy you did it. It's gonna free you up. You're gonna get more listings, more prospects, more everything because you don't have to do a lot. Let's say it takes 3 hours total in a week to do all the admin stuff. Somebody else is doing it now. Those 3 hours are now yours. You know,
That's true.
my assistant,
That
she was only working 4 hours a day for 5 days, for 4 days, 4 hours for 4 days. And it just freed me up so much. Yeah.
so okay. So she started off part time. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm. And it was,
And also, too, I was also saying that if I do consider a admin or an assistant, they will need to start in the morning. Like a lot of people,
mhm.
when it's part time, they want to start in the afternoon. I done did everything.
Did
I done did
everything.
everything already. I need you in the morning. Um,
My assistant, her
so
name is Cheyenne. She did 9 to 1.
exactly. I
Mm.
was going to ask you that question too. So, what in the city do you guys start at 10 or do you guys start at 9? When you said 9 for your assistant, but what time do you normally start your day?
Mm. In the office,
Right.
who me? It depends. It depends. Like it was a time I just really started readjusting my schedule. Right. One
Hmm.
of my colleagues, Monique Smith, she's great. She told me I work way too hard because I would be here from 10 in the morning till 10 at night, or sometimes 11 at night. Before also like 9 to 10 and things like that. So I was always here. Like the people that they'll call Chris, you in the office, right? Yeah, okay. I need to, like they just know. So
Hmm.
now, and that took a lot of wear and tear on my body as well. Like I started getting super tired, fatigued, stressed, blood pressure went up. So now I take more time for myself So I'll get to the office typically around 11 o'clock sometimes, and I'll stay
Mm-hmm.
until 8, maybe 9, depending on what's going on. And if I have to be here
Mm-hmm.
early in the morning, then I'll be here.
Okay. So about the same. Um, Mainly about 10.
Mm-hmm.
10, I try to be, whether now if I'm actually going to the office, 10:30. But if I'm going to be working from home, I try to be sitting down by quarter to 10. But definitely by 9, start the interacting with people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but just like you said, we are in the office until about 8 or 9. It's not like we're in the office all day. We're in the office, then we go out, then we come back in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, about 10 to 8 every day, about Monday through Thursday. Now, by Friday, I like to be out the office by 1, 2 at the latest because we're working on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
So you need at least one half day to, I don't know, get your car washed or something. Like one day I was driving and said, get your car washed? Are your nails polished? Like, because you're so busy hustling, you forget that you have to look presentable.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Definitely.
I get it.
It's crazy sometimes because it's like, I'll know because I be on camera a lot, Instagram, podcasting and things like that. And, if I'm not on a listing appointment, if I'm not, YouTubing or something like that, or whatever, I'm in the office cold calling or doing something to where it's like, oh my gosh, I gotta cut my hair. Oh my gosh, I gotta do this. I gotta take my suits to the cleaners. you know. But again, it's about branding because you gotta. I seen some agents look terrible.
What it was just
They just look terrible. Like their hair is a mess and wrinkled shirts and their sneakers or their shoes are. I'm like, but it's about branding as well because if the consumer sees that enough, they're going to start to say, okay, this is why real estate agents are becoming obsolete, or this is why do we need to pay you this much money if you're going to look like this representing my house or representing me as a buyer. Like you got to care about your appearance. When the movies were open, people would get dressed, right, glammed up and everything like that to go sit in the dark.
that is true. That
Right.
is, you will always know who were the new couples and who were the old couples.
Hmm.
The old couples never dressed up. It's the new ones
Yep.
looking all shiny
Hmm.
to sit in the dark.
To sit in the dark.
To sit in the
But
dark.
you go out and you conduct your business and you looking crazy, and it's like, 9 times out of 10 you're going to see me in a suit, whether it's the listing appointment, closing, open house, just catching up to talk, something. Like, you're going to see me in a suit. If it's a Zoom call, you're going to see me in a suit. Like, that's just what it is, the branding. How do you feel about your brand? I always see like in a dress, I always see your hair done, you glammed up. How do you take what steps do you do to build your brand?
Realistically, I want people to know that real estate is not as easy as it appears. Now, I know those Atlanta agents, I don't know what time they're waking up in the morning because they are looking fabulous.
Hmm.
I mean, I just, like you said, I just want to look neat. I want to look like a professional. I want you to be able to look at me and see, like, okay, she's professional and about her business. But also know it just depends on which group of buyers I'm working with. If I'm with the investors and we're at these rehab homes, I'm going to take off my pumps and put on my Tims.
Hmm.
So you have to be versatile, but still, just have to be presentable and professional. And I love that you said that you wear a suit every day, and it's important.
Hmm.
It's important. like you said, there are some agents who do look mediocre, and if that's okay for them, that is not okay for us, me
Mhm,
and my crew, me and my team.
mhm. If you don't care about,
I just
if you don't care about like your appearance, your own appearance. I can't
right.
as a seller, like I can't expect you to care about the appearance of my home. I can't expect you to care about, how the pictures come out and things like that. Like me, it's time to take pictures. I'm scrubbing walls in my suit. I'll take my jacket off. I'm scrubbing the walls. I'm sweeping. I'm mopping. I washed dishes, to make sure that the pictures came out nice. I cleaned windows. I've thrown out garbage, before the open house and it's windy or whatever. I'm outside sweeping and things like that because I care about the appearance. It's about the brand. I want people to trust that I'm going to take care of you and you're going to get that just by seeing that I take care of me.
I think that's a very good, very good connotation. I'm gonna take heed to that. How long have you been in real estate?
I'm going on my third year.
Oh wow.
hmm Going on my third year, trying to catch up to you, you know.
Just
and,
one
and
year.
and I love it, honestly. Like I love it. It sounds so cliche. I say it all the time, but this is actually something I've always talked about. I've always, since a kid, I didn't know what getting into real estate was, to be fair. Like I didn't know you have agents, you have developers, you have investors. I didn't know the subcategories, but I've always talked about getting into real estate since I was a kid. So once I finally got into it, it's like, yes, I did it.
What was your career prior to real estate?
Prior to real estate, I was working in Bloomingdale's.
Really?
I was working in Bloomingdale's. I was one of the number one salesmen in Bloomingdale's in Soho.
Oh
And
wow. So
it
this is a cakewalk for you.
it's easy.
This is a cakewalk for you.
This is easy. And it's funny because me being in that Bloomingdale's is what got me into real estate because one
Absolutely.
of one of the agents, one of the people that worked there, her name was Rose, and she's actually in Jersey. And she just came to me, we would talk, and she was like, oh, I'm tired. What you tired for? She like, oh, school and things like that. And I'm like, school? What are you studying? She was like, I go to school to be, going to school to be in real estate. So I told her what I just told you. And she was like, well, just take the class. It's not that hard and so on and so forth. So I'm like, yeah. The next day I went, signed up for the class. And it's crazy because I actually got my license before she did.
No way.
hmm And she had like a 2 month head start on me. I actually got my license before she did. And
No.
after that, I left Bloomingdale's and got into real estate.
Wow.
hmm
So, but see, I love how you had that sales background. So, just like I said, so you transitioning was easy.
It was yeah, but like I'm not the person to I didn't like working for somebody. Like I've always kind of been the boss to be fair. Like, my first job I was in Burger King and years later I became a general manager, then a district manager. So I was like always on top. I was one of the number of salespeople in Bloomingdale's. Like I was kind of always the boss. So I didn't really like working for people. Um, and the first thing I ever sold, which is hilarious, when I was younger, I used to sell Dragon Ball Z pictures, right? I was
Oh,
like, I was like 8 years old, Madison. What? I was like 8 years old. And at that time it was me and my friend Kevin. And he was 6, I was 8. We used to go to the library up the block in Prospect Heights and print pictures, but we could only get 10. So 10 pictures was $10 of that we could make because we sold them for $1 each. So I would make $10, he would make $10. And we're at 8 and 6 years old, we're like, that's not enough money for us, right?
right.
So there's a strip called Eastern Parkway where we lived by. So what we started doing was I saw a leaf on the floor, light bulb went off. And I said, Let's tape the leaves to white paper because if we staple, it's going to break. So let's tape the leaves to white paper and sell them. So we started selling leaves on Eastern Parkway, and we started making like $20, $30 a day selling leaves to the people walking down Eastern Parkway.
Leave?
Leaves, like a leaf
No,
off of a tree.
right.
I'm
People will
serious.
buy your leaf.
Yeah. You got an 8-year-old
Wow.
and a 6-year-old, and we like trying to sell it. I didn't, but we didn't know what we were doing at that point. Like we didn't know that was a form of entrepreneurship and salesmanship. So we're like, yeah, like
Absolutely.
you see how like it's fading from dark brown to light brown, and it's on the white. Like we didn't realize what we were doing, but they
Really.
was they paid us. I actually forgot that story until his mother reminded me because his mother and my mother took our money. They was like, y'all better stop selling leaves to them people on the parkway and took our money.
Telling you. I'm like, y'all selling leaves? I mean, I heard people say all kinds of things, but never no leaf.
A leaf. I was like, oh man, it was crazy. So now sometimes in real estate, right,
Mm-hmm.
it may seem like a thankless and discouraging job. It gets crazy at times.
Right.
What drives you to keep going?
My goals,
Mm,
understanding that, one, people have to, in addition to this being a business, right? You being a quote unquote small business, this is how I make a living. So I take it very serious. I take it very personal. This is how I feed my family. It's
hmm
not, it's not just a job. This is my career. So when it's very different when you are a part-time agent because you have this will be your secondary bread and butter. But
hmm
when this is your bread and butter, it's a whole different kind of covering that you know take heed to. How about you? What drives you?
So I have two daughters, right? Um
Oh,
Cadence is my oldest one and Melody is my youngest. They're 9 and 7. So,
they big.
huh?
I said they're big girls.
Oh yeah. So now my first year getting into real estate,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know, like when you get into real estate, you really don't have mentorship, right? Is
Right, absolutely.
it's like, you kind of like thrown to the wolves or something like that. I had people like help me here and there, but it was never like too much assistance. So I really didn't know what to do. I'm throwing money at the wall and things like that, and I ran out of money.
Yeah,
Right? I ran out of money. So
well,
I
I feel
remember,
that.
I remember my first summer in real estate. It got real bad, because the money doesn't come in, but that doesn't stop the bills from coming in.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you said that.
hmm So, I'm still paying rent. I'm still paying bills. I'm still paying the babysitter and after school programs and things like that. So now the money is just going lower and lower and lower and lower. And then
Yeah.
it came a week where it was just like I had money, but the money I had to go to the girls. So it was like,
Absolutely.
damn, I can't buy myself something to eat for these 2 days. I got to make sure that they're good. So I actually bought them food. They wanted Chinese food, so I got them the Chinese food, and I had to wait to see how much food they would eat, and I ate their leftovers for 2 days, and I was just like, I never want to feel that way again. Never.
Ever.
Once that happened, that like traumatized me. Like it scarred me, and it was just like, I'm
Absolutely.
going to be in
And
this office every day.
every day. And I think people have to really understand. Prior to real estate, I was a school teacher and administrator, right?
Dope.
So when I transitioned into real estate, yeah, I had about a year saved up, but that year became 8 months real quick because I didn't think about my daily expenses,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I felt like I had like 24 hours to live. I said, listen, to my broker, I said, I have 8 months. I need to ensure that I close. And again, it, like you said, there is no mentorship. And that first year is is rough
Mm-hmm.
because you're used to a, a scheduled paycheck. And when it doesn't happen, just like you said, your bills still come every 30 days. So it is a risk, and you have to really, you should start part-time before you become full-time.
Full
And
time. Mm-hmm.
it it is, I'm not going to say it's levels, but it is levels. So that way you don't hit rock bottom. Because when your car about to be repo, you like, oh my God, could you please? When are we
Mm-hmm.
going to close? Like your temperament changes. And I think that also too, just like you said, those are the things that that drives us. Um, in between on my first year, I was also doing Uber so I can have the flexibility and still have the ongoing cash.
Mm-hmm.
It was a mess. Look, it was a mess.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely share the same heartfelt stories.
Mm-hmm.
It was not easy. Look, it was not easy.
Definitely. It's like,
It's not easy. It wasn't easy. And
start
the
looking
people
back.
all the time.
Start.
And I think those are the things that build us character, but most importantly, those are the things that keep us hungry and humble at the same time.
Yep.
Because I don't forget. Look, I don't forget. I do not forget. Whoa. I mean, I come outside. I know I parked right here. Christian, I know I parked right here. They don't repo the car. But it was like on the same day, like of the closing. But it was just like I cannot live like this.
Mm-hmm. Can't do this no more. It's less like, oh my God. I hated that. It was just I don't want I
Mm-mm.
felt sad. I felt ashamed. I felt embarrassed,
Yep.
and it
All
was
those
just like
things.
I was just like I can't do that again. I felt like my daughters was gonna be ashamed of me, sad of me, whatever. So I just really want them to be proud of me. So it's just like I gotta whatever it is, I gotta make it. I want to feel like I did it. Whatever it is, I don't know, but I want to feel like I did it. You know. So every day I'm in the office, every day I'm doing this, putting out content, so on and so forth, talking to everybody, getting everybody's insight, to help myself grow as well as other people.
I agree.
Definitely.
I totally agree.
I got two more questions for you, Madison. I want to keep you up all day. So
Okay.
in your opinion, what's the most challenging listing objection to overcome?
There's so many. Okay, wait. I'm just gonna turn. Is the sun? Because the sun is like beaming right here. So let me much better. I just felt like a big glare on my
What's
head.
like, whoop.
Um, I would say the biggest listing objective would probably be is, oh, my cousin or a family member
I
is
didn't
a
think
real
about
estate agent. Like, okay. But we all know it's harder to work with family, right? So you got to come back, with that. But it seems like everyone is very well. Someone always has a real estate agent, even when they don't.
hmm Everybody
Just like
knows
you
a
said,
real estate agent or whatever.
right, everyone has an agent, so we just have to continue to be consistent.
That's crazy. Now,
Meaning,
huh? What
I
about
said,
me?
meaning,
My most difficult, I would say, is commission. I hate the commission objection.
well,
I
this
hate,
agent will. When
yeah,
you think about
what about, I had somebody say, will you do 3.8? I'm like, 3.8? I'm like, I'm like, that's a crazy number. What?
They done made that up.
I'm like 3.8%. Like, that's a real specific number.
Wow.
I'm like, oh
Wow.
my gosh, you know? And I always let them know, like, listen, let's start at 6. I won't let the commission be the reason the deal won't go through. However,
Right.
everybody still has to walk away happy. You know, it still has to make sense. You know, so let's
Absolutely.
go there. But when people are like, "Well, give me the number. How much is it? How much is it? How much is it?" And then you're trying to tell them that, like, you can start at 6, but 6%? No, 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 no. Like, you won't even let me finish, right? You're just like so hung up on the 6% that you kind of just want me to say 2% or 3% or something. You want me to negotiate against myself. And it's kind of like I can't do that, you know? It kind of lowers the commission standard after a while. If everybody just starts saying
It
I'll do
does.
it for 4, in the next couple of years, everybody will do it for 3, you know? Then we're
I
out of
totally,
business.
totally. I think that's like been the norm of 2020. Every listing was 2%. What is going on here? What is going on? Now, have you tried saying, well, my base rate is, 3%. What would you like to offer the selling agent? Have you tried that way? Like
Mm,
what would
that's
because
a
at
good way to.
the end of the day, it's the buyer's agent, quote unquote, who's going to procure the buyer, right?
Oh
Sometimes.
well. All right. So in New York, there's 2 different types of agents, right? You have revenue agents, which is the Real Estate Board of New York, and then you have MLS agents, right? So
Whoa.
revenue agents are required to co-broke. So whether you're a revenue member or an MLS member, we have to split our commission with you, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's kind of like we have to be at 6 or 5 or something because we have to split it. Now,
Right.
now an MLS agent is not required to co-broke. They could keep the whole 6% for themselves. They could keep the 3% for this, whatever. Like they're not required to co-broke at all. So now,
Really?
yeah. So now if I bring a buyer, my buyer now has to pay me because you're not going to split with me. You're not going to co-broke with me.
I've never heard that.
Hmm. That's what's.
I've heard, wow.
Mhm.
Now I think that has just taken the cake. I've heard of, buyers paying their agent, but it's mainly for like investment deals,
Mhm.
but not for traditional practice. I've heard some agents saying, well, um, the seller is giving out, 2%. Would you give me the 1%? I cannot even think about asking the buyer lines to pay anything
Mhm.
because it's difficult enough, getting the closing calls and all the other fees.
Mhm.
I couldn't even think, I wouldn't even know.
They're already
There's no way I would ask them to pay anything.
they're already paying 35, $36,000 in the court. You want me to tell them
Yes.
to give me another 50?
You want me to pay you too?
Like
Never, never in my wildest dream. No way.
that's like the kind of challenge that we're faced with in New York because you know a lot of the MLS agents they're like, nope, your buyer gotta pay you. Nope, I'm keeping it. It's like what? Like, come on.
That is ridiculous. That is pure greed.
Hmm. But the consumer doesn't understand that to the fullest extent, and it turns away potential business because this person wants the full 6%. So now, okay, I'm a revenue agent. I have a buyer, but he doesn't want to split. My buyer doesn't want to pay me 30, $40,000 on top of the closing costs, on top of the down payment, and so on and so forth. Like you just missed out on your thing moving, you know.
Wow. I guess New York market is a true renegade market, as they
Renegade.
say.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow.
Right. So last question, right?
Mhm.
What is your craziest real estate story?
Where do I begin? I would definitely say this would probably be the craziest because it was the most um, comfortable but most uncomfortable I've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
So, working with an investor and he was looking for a fixer upper. Right now, on the listing, it said, that the home was vacant, with the combo. So we get to the house and, you know, the combination lock was broke.
Mm-hmm.
But a gentleman came from the back and he was like, "Oh, you're here to see the house?" So, mind you, he is giving us a grand tour of the allegedly vacant house. It's a
Mm-hmm.
squatter in this room, a squatter in that. It's a squatter in every single room. And you couldn't tell me they weren't tenants, okay? Because the way they showed that house,
Mm-hmm.
they live there. When me and the buyers trying to be so comfortable because we know these people do not supposed to be here.
Mm-hmm.
When we both left out, I said, you know they were squatters, right? They do not live here. I couldn't believe that they thought that that was appropriate
As
to show us a house that they don't live in.
they don't live.
I mean, I'm not going to.
That's crazy.
I would never forget that. I said, this is why I would never go to a property alone where it's expected to be vacant because people are living in
Because people are living in. That's funny. I'll tell you. I'll tell you one. Because you like door knocking, right? I'll tell you a door
there.
knocking story. So this is actually me and Jackie. So we had a listing in Queens, right?
Mhm.
So we're in Queens and we're doing a open house for the property. So we say, you know what? Let's do a different approach. I circle prospected the calling and everything like that. Printed up a bunch of flyers of the open house, and now let's go door knocking and let everybody know in the area about this open house.
Mhm.
So we knock on the door, right? This took hours. We had to split up into 2 days, right?
Mhm.
So we door knock one of the doors, Madison, and a
Mm.
lady is outside, I guess with her brother or something, and they're drunk.
What time of
So
day is this?
this is maybe noon, like it's like high noon, like
Mm.
in the summertime. I told I'm always in a suit. I don't know what made me door knock in a suit in the
Because
summertime.
you professional, just sweating,
I was sweating.
just drenched.
Oh man, tire everything. Like I.
Mm.
So they're drunk, right? So they're like, oh,
Mhm.
that house over there is for sale. I want it. So we're like, okay. So we're excited or whatever, not knowing how intoxicated she is. Um, but she starts talking about another property, but we didn't know that. So she's like, yeah, it got this many bedrooms and boom, 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 boom. So I'm like, nah, that's not the house. And she's like, what you mean that's not the house? I grew up over here. I know the house. So I'm like, okay, no problem. Like she starts blacking crazy. I'm like, okay, no problem. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's not the house. So she's like, you know what? I actually want to sell this house that I'm in front of, or whatever. So, do you want to take a look? So me and Jackie's like, yeah. So Jackie's excited. I'm excited. Whatever. It's literally like up the block and across the street. So we we go inside. Everything is broken. The walls, the set. We go. I think we went in the basement or whatever. We're like, is anybody in here? She's like, no. It's a dude sleeping in the basement, covered up like in a sleeping bag. Right? We go upstairs. It's a big hole in the ceiling where you could almost see like the actual roof of the house. Yeah, but it's a floor above, like it's a two-story. So if I could see the
Oh.
roof through the next floor, yo, I'm like,
You
and
can't make this stuff up.
you can't. So then I'm like, so we ask her like, what price is she? She wants full price for the house. She wants like $600,000 for this house.
Not
This
with a
house is
hole.
not worth more than like, yeah, with a hole in it. This house not worth more than two something. She's like, everybody, I gotta split it between everybody in my family. I want to give everybody 700,000. Like,
Not split it with everyone in my whole family.
yeah, everybody in her whole family, she want to get everybody like 60, 70,000 and she'll be fine. I'm like, nah.
That is wild.
I'm
That
like,
is
nah.
wild.
And she like, her mom is on a reverse mortgage and this and the third. And I'm just like, it's not going to sell for that, like at all. It needs too much work. Too much work. But me and Jackie still being ambitious. We still try to go after the listing or whatever. She just stopped answering our phone calls after a while. So it was just like, whatever. I don't got to worry about falling through the hole in the house. I'm good.
I'm telling you. Again, it was an experience. Look, it was an experience. I just how when they were, drunk at noon, y'all should have said see y'all later. Just when dude came from the back, I should have left. Like
Mhm.
these
I'm
are the
like,
experiences that
this
we
is
will
really happening
never forget.
from the
Never.
jump. I should have said
But
no when I was in a suit in 90-degree weather. I'm like, yo, why didn't I at least leave the blazer in the car? I'm like, yo, Jackie, I am hot
just scorching.
and scorching. And I was doing the intermittent fasting, so I wasn't eating before 2 o'clock.
Oh,
So
so
I'm
you was
hungry.
about to faint. You was
I'm
about
about
to
to die. I'm about to die. I'm hungry. I'm
faint.
thirsty. Everything.
Oh my
Everything.
God. Well, that is not the worst, but that is definitely the most challenging. Monday, we start fasting. You have to prepare yourself for the fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, thank God the sun go down early because when you fast in the summer,
Mm-hmm. It's the
you be
worst.
looking
It's
at that
like,
clock. Is it 8 o'clock? Is it eight
yo, what
o'clock?
time? Like,
Oh,
please, please, please hurry up. Oh my gosh. Madison, it was crazy. It was crazy. Well, this concludes our meeting. You were amazing, Madison. Thank you so much. This is a pleasure.
thank you definitely so much for having me. I've definitely learned a lot just in reference to, getting back out there, cold calling. And the most relevant is you have on your name tag. I haven't worn my name tag in so long, and I know it works. So once it is, time for us to take back off our winter coats, just because you have on yours, I'm gonna make sure every day after April I have on my name tag because unless people know, they don't, unless you have a pin that says realtor, they just think you're going to work. But now when you see my name tag and I'm shaking your right, well, I might elbow you. I'm still shaking hands. But I mean, some people are uncomfortable. They will know, oh, she's a real estate agent. So
Mhm.
thank you. Thank you for those jewels. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
No problem. Actually, I got this one made. This has my logo and everything on it. It's probably gonna show up backwards on the camera though, but you know. Oh, can it focus? Can it focus? Can it focus? Hold on, wait.
Oh, there it is. I see it. The CN.
Mm-hmm.
Is it CN? Yeah. With the
See,
house.
yeah, it's like a house, CN, and it's Chris Newton real estate under it. So, I was like, let me Let me do that. And it's crazy that you say that because I actually got that from another real estate agent. And
Absolutely. I used to always wear it. You know, people ask me questions based on the name tag, and then I got silly. But after seeing that name tag and knowing what goals I want to meet,
mm-hmm. It
I'm gonna
helps.
have on my name tag. I need the actual get the metal piece. I
Mm.
can get those from Amazon,
Yep.
but
Impressive.
definitely,
Mm-hmm.
definitely going to start wearing my name tag.
I
But this,
appreciate you so much, and I learned a lot from you too, a whole lot from you. Being it's okay to be yourself. You know, um, everybody has a story. It's not just me. I'm not alone and things like that. So, door knocking isn't as bad as I thought it was. you
I
know,
guess cold call won't be as bad as I think it is.
you know what? You know what I'm gonna do because you're gonna cold call. I'm gonna make a promise right here in front of the world. Right,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna door knock. Come this spring. If it's
Mm-hmm.
not too crazy with this COVID stuff, I'm gonna door knock at least 50 properties. I
And I'm
said it.
going to make at least 100 calls a week.
They,
Because if Christian can do it, then I know I can do it as
definitely.
well.
And you can do it on a
It's
higher level. And I believe it 1,000,000%. One
gonna
million
hold
percent.
each other accountable. That's what we
Yup.
need. Accountability partners.
Accountability partners. Yep. Most definitely. I'll even post it. I'll record it and everything. Madison, look what I'm doing. Not and everything like
With
that.
your mask. With your mask.
With the mask on, like, hey, do you want to sell?
I'm still thinking about that. I'm we're gonna have to talk after this because we really have to figure it out with the new circumstances.
Mhm.
But I'm so
Definitely.
excited. So excited that you had me on today. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Of course. And if there's anything you need help with, anything in the world I can do for you, I'm only a phone call away.
Thank you so much, Christian.
Thank you. Have a good one, Maddie.
You too. Later.